Welcome to Producer Profile. Producer Profile is a show where we showcase some of the talented people who work behind the scenes in the entertainment, business, and local communities while making positive influences on the lives of others.
Welcome to Producer Profile. I'm Stella Winston, along with Orville Nelson. Our guest producer today is a very talented woman. I found out while preparing for the show that she is a renowned artist and that she has many works, and we're going to have the pleasure of seeing them today.
Who is she?
Kitty Chavis. Now, Kitty Chavis, she's also a producer here, and she has the show called Bed-Stuy Art and Culture Coalition Presents. Welcome to the show, Kitty.
Thank you very much, Stella and
Welcome.
Orville.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your show, Bed-Stuy Art and Culture Coalition.
Okay, well, it's actually, we do specials, and it comprises of taking talents from Bedford-Stuyvesant and the Brooklyn area and presenting them to the public for viewing on Brooklyn Access Television. This way they get a chance to see that Brooklyn is very gifted with talents from all walks of life.
Yes, more than a tree grows in Brooklyn.
Got that right. Yeah, and that's what it's basically about.
Now, you mentioned special. Maybe the audience that went over the audience's head. What is a special?
Well, so far we've done several specials of the groups that belong already in the Bedford-Stuyvesant Arts and Culture Coalition.
Yeah, but you use the term specials because you don't have a regular time slot at BCAT. What do you mean?
When I say specials, I will have like an hour showing at some special time within the month. Maybe if I go out and do a producer show for an event that one of the members of our coalition is having, and then I bring it into BCAT to be presented.
So there's no set time?
No.
Regularity?
No.
Okay, good. All right.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kitty, you are an artist yourself.
True that.
Right, true that. And you were an artist from a very young age, weren't you?
Yes.
Now, we have prepared some of your artwork, and let's talk about Kitty as an artist, yourself as an artist, by looking at your artwork. Okay, so we're going to start with the very first one, and as you
are we going to do African music?
I think that we're going to do the art first.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure.
The art first. And in this first one, we're going to see you on the street.
Greenwich Village.
There she is. Yeah. And what are you doing there?
I was setting up my easel to do some portrait works. What we do is, like, at that particular time, it was we had 15 minutes.
Look at her.
15 minutes. Oh yeah, I was a smoker, man. 15 minutes to do black and white charcoals, and we allotted about a half an hour to do a pastel drawing of the subjects that sat in our chair. And other than that, we would just have fun taking pictures. As you could see, one artist took a picture of me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So in this next one, you did a picture of a woman carrying some fruit.
Right.
What inspired you to do this one?
Okay. As an artist, at that stage, I painted on anything and everything. Walls, ceilings, floor, anything. I wanted some canvas. I didn't have any canvas, and I had material because my mother is a seamstress, as well as she taught me to do sewing. So I had some material left, and I had a piece of silk, and I painted that on silk. That's oil on silk. And at that time, I belonged to Creative Artists Guild, which is several artists from the School of Visual Arts where I went, and they were asked to submit some of the artworks. That particular picture was submitted to an author in England, Cedric Dover, from London, England.
And what did you name this piece? Do you have a name?
I've since named it the West Indian Woman, but at the time it was printed in this publication of American Negro Art, and under it was Untitled, because I just said hey.
Beautiful.
Now, this one is called the
Blue Madonna. Yes.
And obviously because it's blue. And there's also a child in there.
Okay, the Blue Madonna, that's my Picasso era when I studied Cubism. And at that particular time, I was very much a young bride and having children, wanting to have children. And because of the fact that I wasn't able to maintain a full birth, it took an emotional effect on me. That's when I should have done breathing exercises. But anyway, so I took it out on the canvas, and this was called Blue Madonna. I submitted it at that particular time. I was working with, because I did clerical work as well as my artwork, and I was working for, I think it was U.S. Trust Bank down on Wall Street there, and they had a contest. The Wall Street Art Association had a contest, and I submitted it and won first prize.
Yes, I don't have. I keep using the word beautiful. It's a good piece. I like the piece.
Well, that particular piece there, so many people liked it. The original was sold to a couple that live upstate New York somewhere, but I asked them if they could possibly let me make a copy of it. So I made a limited edition of 100, what they call it, surrogate pictures. It's on a material type canvas, and there. I still have some available if you're interested.
Well, I might be checking you for
Yes,
that.
okay.
Now you have something else here that's.
Now, this piece is called the Black Mona Lisa.
Right.
And this is a piece that young children
Oh yeah,
are very much entertained by, right?
Right. When I first did that painting, the children, I used to have a lot of kids around me at all times. I always have children around me anyway. And whenever, they'd always love to come up my place, at my studio, and they say, oh, I want to see that picture. Let me see, her eyes move. Oh, look, I think she's breathing. That kind of thing. But this particular picture, my brother, who also is a graduate of Hofstra University and also was an associate dean there, he had that painting hanging there for 2 years in Hofstra University. So it's got its own notoriety.
Now, before we look at this next picture,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about you and who you were and who you are, because this next picture is a little bit
Different.
It's a little bit different.
Okay.
Now, physically, it's very obvious that Kitty, you're a very beautiful woman. And
thank you.
And
Obvious.
yes, and so, I mean, this next picture is saying something that totally different. Set it up for us, please.
Okay. I think you're talking about that picture that after I finished painting it, I was like, yes, I figured that was the one you were talking about. At that particular time, I was working for Workers' Compensation Board. And, they say there's a time when artists have a lull where they don't do any artwork at all. And people were like teasing me. Oh, Kitty, what you painting today? Kitty, what you doing today? And I got tired of hearing it. I said, you really want to know what's on my mind? Let me show you what's on my mind. So I went home and I just got caught up in this painting. And when I finished the painting, which I forgot how many hours it took me to finish the painting, and the thing scared me. Like, I put the picture away and I wouldn't look at it. I covered it up. I wouldn't look at it for several months until finally I said, I have to understand what's going on in this picture. How did this all come out of me? And what I was seeing is that, just like you kept saying, oh, you're a beautiful lady, that bugged me. I don't want people just looking at me for the outer.
So you got that a lot. The beauty.
Yes.
I could see why.
And
yes.
I said, there is a soul inside here. And this is just a structure, a bone structure. Everybody's got the same bone structure.
Oh, so you took the skin off.
I took the skin off of the face. And I exposed the heart. My heart is, so huge. And like this is the beauty, what makes this body works.
When you put it together, when you spelled it out for me, I really feel that piece now.
And then if you look at the way the muscles are all, they really, I used to love, when I was in school, I loved doing anatomy. I loved the muscles, man, woman, I like the muscles, And this was just showing that a woman has a lot of strength in her, her physical being. Now you'll see that her stomach muscles is really, taut. She brings birth, from the Creator into the world through that vessel. It is still a beautiful figure.
That's the center of your being.
Right. And then she's stretched out like the crucifix of Jesus, because Jesus is man, woman, child, anybody.
Now, what I'm curious about is how has your work changed over the years in terms of medium, in terms of strokes, brush strokes? Do you ink, paint on? What do you do? How has things changed?
Not really. I do a lot of illustrations. I've been very caught up in nature. I love trees, plants, birds, animals. I went through a phase there where I was doing horses. I mean, they were just like fascinating.
Do we have any here?
No, we don't have any here.
I could see why you would do horses, because horses are so muscular, and you just said earlier that you love the muscle.
Their stride, and then, I guess it could have been because one time I went with some of my fraternal sisters. We went to a horse race, and I won the daily double, and that was my cruise. So I started loving horses then. But I don't play them,
But in terms of medium and in terms of
I
your
use
work.
oil. I'm versatile. I use oil paintings. I use pastels. I use watercolor. My sceneries are mostly in watercolor, and my pastels are mostly my portrait works. My oil paintings are when I do my illustrations. That's heavy.
Now in this,
And I also do sculpture.
Okay.
I forgot to tell
You
you.
do sculpture?
wow.
Yeah.
Versatile. Now, in this next picture, it's still looking inside the woman, what's not on the outside, but what's on the inside. Can you please describe this one?
That's Thoughts of Africa. Now, when I did that one, it was just to say that you see, a woman, her hair, African, this is a black woman, of course. Her hair is in the African,
The afro.
The afro, right. And she has the thoughts of her garb, her African garb from her island, the country, what am I saying, island? Got the
West
one
Indies.
on my mind, yeah. And then she has, in the middle, she's thinking about the mine where they took out all the diamonds and the gold.
Please
and
talk about
stuff.
that just a little more.
Well, it was just to let you know, or this picture is to let the public know that the country where we come from is a rich country.
The continent, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the land itself was robbed of all of these elements, and especially the diamonds. And they sell the diamonds back to us.
Back to us.
In such a exorbitant amount, when we could have gotten just walk up like we pick up a stone.
So by creating a demand for these diamonds and this gold, we're actually participating in the enslavement of Africans.
Right.
And we should be more cognizant of how we spend our money.
Exactly.
Now, it appears that there are tears on here, but
Okay.
there's something significant
Right.
about
The
this.
there's one tear is a bullet. The other is the policeman's nightclub, and that's where she's she's understanding that here in this country she's going through stress of being the police brutality and all that other kind of stuff that goes on. I'm getting political now.
Okay.
There are elephants
And then the
there,
elephants is the remembering. The elephants is always used as a key of remembrance, right? And then of course you have the man that's
The body tied up,
in
yes.
bondage. So
Okay.
that's
Reminds
all.
me of Kunta Kinte immediately. For some reason, it's in my head. Yeah.
Right. See? So it's American, but it's African. Okay.
Okay. And now, in this next one, you have the age, the
Right.
generation gap
That's a mural that I did
with a dog.
with my puppy. Well, God bless him. He's Chucky. That was my little dog.
Chucky,
Beagle.
your puppy?
Yeah, I had a
Okay.
beagle, and the old man is just to show that he's teaching that little boy. Now the little boy he's holding his toy, which is a turtle, and that's a symbolic to say, go slow. You gotta, take your time about learning stuff. Now the old man's got his cane. Now you want to get to that stage, you got to go slow and listen to your elders.
Great.
And in the corner there is a statue of Queen Nefertiti, which was a gift to me from one of my god babies.
Okay.
And that is our rich history. That's a
Yes.
rich history.
Right.
Okay. Now, in this next one, this next picture, you have a good-looking man here, and
Yeah.
there's some things
Okay,
going on here around him, right?
Yeah, that was my study on Salvador Dali's work. And I decided to use this gentleman, if you want to call him so, to show here's this stately man who thinks he's all that. It's called James's Trail. Now, I'll start from one corner and come from the other. Now you see the pages of history, which is the paper that's coming down. That's up in this area,
Okay.
in the corner there. Then you got the ghost of the females that he has.
Wrought havoc.
Right. He has
caused a lot of
emotional pain, stress, whatever. You got hands reaching out because they're still lusting after him. You know, it's a fine-looking figure, man. And then you got his mama or whoever his maternal instinct was praying for him. Okay, and of course he's wrapped in his loins, you know, and he's got his badge of armor on his arm. And the other side you have a female who is like crying, and she's reaching out to the little boy. That's their son, and there's dice in the corner, and then there's another little girl.
Dice in the corner of the son's head.
Because he's gambling with this child's life as well as this other child is maybe somebody else's child. And then you have a woman peeking who he must be going with right now. And in between the woman and the other lady that's crying is a dagger, because there is a whole lot of, you know, he's got to keep them two separated. All of them
Now
separated.
you've mentioned,
And then up in the corner is the hourglass.
Okay. Now you've mentioned that a lot of these pieces are something that comes from deep within. So
Oh, yeah.
I am asking.
How did
Here,
that happen?
yes.
That happened through an experience from long.
And you don't have to go all the way, but this is something
Yeah, it's something personal.
that you were dealing with and
That's
putting
right,
together.
right. I was letting one of them fellas that was before I got married let him know he hurt me deeply. And
So
he-
painting is a way of actually dealing.
Yes, with emotional stress.
It's a way of experiencing eustress.
Right.
Remember,
Stress.
we just
Remember
learned
we had
that
that
from
from
Kinshasa,
Kinshasa
Right.
Chewbacca.
Right.
She
Well,
was,
it's
yeah.
true because, like, at early age, I was known as a little rebel, and they had to transfer me out of different schools because I was beating on man, woman, and child. You know, so they had to direct that energy somewhere, and they found that directing it towards they tried me with music, which and I went to music school and learned how to play the piano. I don't know how to play it now, but then I went to singing and I went to dancing. But they said the art, you know, she has a feel for the art.
Now, if you had not known about it, if you had not been introduced to this,
Right.
it'd be one less way for you to deal with stress. So do you think that parents, guardians, should actually introduce their children to a wide variety of experiences in the arts?
Yes, most definitely. That's one of the things that we do with our Arts and Culture Coalition, is to bring all of these and let them know that there are people out there that have gone through different type of lifestyles, but they use their art to express themselves and sharing it with other people to help them deal with situations on their own. A lot of times you can go through situation. If I know there's sometimes I went through some heavy situations, and if I went to my canvas, hey, then you come back, you say whatever you want, and it didn't bother me. But don't let me be without my canvas for a while, because you're big in serious trouble.
All right.
Okay. Okay, let's bring up the next one.
Okay.
And this is your Shangri-La.
Oh, Shangri-La, yes. That's a storybook. Love affair. Husband come home from work and he's got troubles of whatever the day, and his wife is standing over him. That's you know, she's sharing it, and they're just looking as to what they can do to resolve this for both of them. That's Shangri-La.
Okay, and then the next one is a mural that you did. It's a sports mural.
Okay, that was for my therapist. When I had to get surgery on my arm, I had to go for therapy so that I could use my hand again. And I did this
small.
painting for, which is, she's a sports therapist. and it's got some football, baseball, basketball, soccer,
Well, I'm smiling
tennis.
because I've just seen the next one, and it is moving me.
And this next one
Oh, that's
is
my Coptic priest. That's my takeoff on my Ethiopian thoughts. Okay, you got the 6-star in there, and you have the Coptic cross, and the man I made up in my mind. You know, I just made up. That's
This
the priest.
really is, I find it very effective. It brings something out of me. I'm not sure. I have to look at it a little more. I'd like to see that piece.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the last one, and because
Okay.
we're running out of time, and I want to get to the videotape of
Okay.
one of your shows.
Okay, that one is just a takeoff on materials, African prints. I just wanted to put a lot of prints together and show that it could be used in royalty for African people. You'll see that the lady is dressed in a plain material, but it's a lace over it, and then she has the African garb on her head,
Dress.
as well as the little boy has the African garb on. So it's like incorporating American stylistic
Yes, I was looking at
tailoring
that.
and African print.
You do that a few times in some of these paintings that we've seen.
Yes, and I do that in real life too.
Now, you use the medium of the canvas to do this. Now you are a BCAT producer, and you're using the medium of television.
Right.
This videotape that's coming up is an example of
One of the shows.
one of
that
the
I put
shows.
together.
And what did you do with this particular show?
Okay, the young lady that is a music entologist, and she went to public school and high school with me, and she wrote music for the African drum and the African dance.
What's her name?
Doris Green.
Okay.
She's a professor at, I think it's New York College in the city. Anyway, I had her to come on to the show and to explain how she went into teaching this African music and explaining to us what is the significance of the different drum beats, the dances, and that type of thing. And then we decided to incorporate the African drum music to modern day music. So we had Andre Smith, who's a Bless Me video producer, and he does hip hop. And then we had a young man, Wayne Winston, who does nonstop production, which takes talents from the children, and they do rap and stuff. So we combined this together.
So let's see this.
It sounds
Yes.
very good.
Tone 'em first. Let me hear yours. Turn it around the other way so you can play. Strike it this way. So you strike it there. I want you to take your fingers off this so you can hear the tone of the low one. Right. Keep playing. Stop. No. Ba-dee-ba-ba, 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 ba-dee-ba-ba. Keep playing.
You know what I'm trying to do? What I'd like to try to do here is this. I want you to start a beatbox rhythm. Go ahead, and then I want you to start.
Yeah,
Okay.
did we get to the part with the
We
the
didn't.
bebop?
I wanted to get to that part where you could hear Andre does the poot and Wayne does some little something.
Is that
and
something we
Doris
can hear? I'm not sure.
Doris
Is that
is-
something we can hear?
I believe so. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit
It's a little further on into the...
Right.
Yeah,
into
I don't know if we have
below.
time to.
Right, we may
hear
not
that.
have time to do it. As
But-
well as I wanted to show where we had on that segment I had where you saw the dancers in Africa doing their dance, and then we switched over and showed the dancers here in New York doing their twirls on their head and their flip-flops and all of that.
And you see the relationship.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Family.
Right.
See how it's been passed down through
Right,
the generations.
Exactly.
Things are not totally lost.
No, thank God.
Yeah. So maybe we can close out the show, and we can see a little bit more of that B-roll,
That's
if
fine.
that's possible. Because I think that was, unless there's something else that you wanted to.
No, I think
ask
that's a great idea, but I
Yeah.
just want to say that your show is a special,
Yes.
and it's called again what?
Bedford-Stuyvesant Art and Culture Coalition.
Okay.
And
Thank
we-
you so
they
much.
present-
And we've been talking with Kitty Chavis.
Kitty Chavis.
Who is a
From the hood.
From the hood.
All right.
Brooklyn in the house.
Now let's take a look and let's go back and let's
Okay,
check the
I'm
list.
Stella Winston.
And I'm Orville Nelson.
Okay, thank you for watching Producer Profile.
Thank you, Kitty.